All right. And one of the things in regard to breath that I know I've told you this, guys, told this to you before, but it bears repeating that when we give ourselves just a little moment of breath hunger, when we learn to stretch the breath a little bit more length into it than what we are typically comfortable with, a lot of things happen in our lungs and in our body. And one of the things that happens is the acid-base balance shift. So when we have just a little bit more carbon dioxide in our blood, our red blood cells will give away their oxygen into our tissues a little bit more easily. And so if you have, some shortness of breath, I mean, there's like a million things, but if you tend to breathe really shallow, even just stretching that breath a fraction a little bit longer will help you gain a little bit more carbon dioxide in your system. And I don't know about you, but I was always told that carbon dioxide was like a bad thing. You think about like carbon monoxide as being a bad thing, but carbon dioxide is a very natural part of our body. And the levels can shift ever so slightly and make pretty profound change. So if we have way too much carbon dioxide, that's not a good thing. But I'm talking about a range that we're just stretching a little bit wider so that we can have a little more capacity for our red blood cells. Let's give them a helping hand. They carry around oxygen. And if you're a little low on red blood cells, let's say you're anemic or just have a little bit lower level of iron or oxygen carrying capacity in your hemoglobin for whatever reason, if we can allow those hemoglobins to release their oxygen, it will help us no matter what. So today we're going to do a lot to just kind of open up for the breath. I think a lot of people have allergies right now and kind of struggling a little bit with their breathing. So we'll open up the breath, and then we're going to do some breath work at the end that is really kind of stretching out the length of the exhales and giving us that teeny bit of breath hunger, not a lot. So whenever you do pranayama, it's really a balancing act between, trying to have a little bit of manipulation and control over your breath, but ultimately, prana should not be forced. We don't want to have such control that we get in distress in any way, shape, or form. So a little bit of breath hunger is not a starving for breath feeling. It's just like, oh, it's like hunger before a meal, but not like I'm famished. You know how that feeling when you're about to eat dinner and the kitchen smells really good and you're like, yay, I'm looking forward to my meal, and your hunger's up? That's what I'm looking for, is like the desire for the next breath, not a, oh my God, where is the next breath? And thank God it got here kind of feeling, and then a shortness of breath. So know the difference between the two. And sometimes it's hard to tell, like you kind of have to just play and practice and you learn as you go. All right. So let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to just drop into a comfortable posture. So whatever your day has held so far today, let's tune in and drop in and see if you can just move away from what the mind has been busy doing all this time, since you've woken this morning. Let's see if we can quiet ourselves and turn back toward that centering place. As you sit in this sense of quiet in the mind, notice your breathing. Try not to necessarily change. Usually your breath already starts to change a little bit, but you don't have to do anything. There's no instruction about elongating or any kind of awareness. Just be aware of breathing. Normally, when we slow our mind down, close our eyes, become still, and turn toward the breath, we have a desire to slow it down. It's a natural instinct to sense the calming effect of a long breath. So as you feel this kind of subtle transition that your breath might be doing, try not to control anything. Just be aware. And as you're breathing, notice all the apparatus for breath. Your diaphragm, your lungs, your ribs, all the muscles around your torso and in your neck, your nostrils, your sinuses, the deep inner workings of your respiratory system, the trachea and the bronchioles, the bronchi. Kind of move your awareness around into all of this required anatomy for good breathing. Just see what you can do to create some space, make some room. Notice if you, as you scan all of these parts of your respiratory system, notice what you're noticing. Is there some tightness anywhere? Is there restriction anywhere? Is there anywhere that you can't feel, that you're you have a little absenteeism in the body? Are you noticing any subtle differences between your left and right sides, such as the breath moving through the two sides of your nose, the breath moving into the two sides of your lungs? It's very normal for us to have dominance in one nostril or the other, and this fluctuates through the day. It's part of our nervous system to have this fluctuation. So don't worry about trying to equalize. Just pay attention. Notice what's happening. Just for the next few breaths, focus deeply on the diaphragm itself. Can you mobilize the diaphragm? It doesn't have a lot of nerve endings, so actually sensing the musculature of the diaphragm isn't always so easy. So notice its movement. See if you can command the diaphragm to have this big reach of movement. What else in your body responds when you ask your diaphragm to move more thoroughly? And again, notice if you have trouble with this, if there's any sense of restriction or immobility. Bring your awareness back to the center, bring your hands together. See if you can find that connection between the heart, the head, and the hands. Unify into your centeredness. Breathe into this space and offer an intention for yourself. Let's release the hands. Let's find our way onto our back. So again, we need the ball today and the rolled towel today. Okay. So as you come down onto your back, okay, let's first start as we always do on your back. Okay, so just have those props handy. Okay. Lie down and let's stretch our arms overhead and stretch your legs long and just enjoy opening up the sides of your body. Stretch through your ribs, through your sideways, through your hips, your shoulders, and just enjoy. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest and let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Hang on to the knees and let's roll here. A little bit of movement in your hips. Go 2 or 3 times each direction. All right, and then when you're ready, let's open up your knees away from the middle, bring them back in toward the middle, and just enjoy some of that range of motion of your hip joints. Sensing in what's available today. Okay. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Let's roll around in your ankles and feel some wiggling. Okay. Make sure you rest your head, rest your shoulders. Notice if your body wants to take some efforting there or tension that's not needed. Okay. All right, let's cross the right knee over to the left. Find a big twist, as big as you want it to be without straining your spine. Open up across your pecs and take a deep breath into your chest. All right, coming back to center, knee into your chest. Bring your head up, a little bit of a hug, engage your core, and then relax your head down. Switch sides, left knee in, right leg long. Move around in your ankles, wiggling through your toes and breathing. All right, and then when you feel ready, cross that left knee over to the right and find a twist here, whatever feels good. Stretching open through your chest. Notice if this side feels different in your twisting or in your chest than it did on the other side. Paying attention to how our left and rights maybe aren't even, that we have different patterning on our two sides of our body. Okay, and then stretch open to a star. Reach your limbs really wide. And then exhale, draw your knees into your chest. Pick up your head. And then release your head down onto the ground. Lift your legs straight up in the air. Start with your arms down at your sides and start to feel an engagement through your core muscles. Breathing deeply. Let's point and flex our toes. Maybe have some rolls in your ankles, just kind of giving this opportunity for our feet to move. Lift your arms overhead and feel that integration of your rib cage, your core muscles. All right, and then bring your knees back into your chest, rocking a little bit, swaying from side to side. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh, draw your knees into your chest, let your head get heavy, breathing deeply. All right, and then release that. Open to a star. Stretch your limbs wide again. Roll around in your wrists or your ankles. Knees into your chest, head up, and then cross left thigh over right for the second side. Remember to rest your head. Shoulders are relaxed. All right, and then one more time. Starfish on the ground. Draw your knees up, put your feet on the ground, arms out to the side, and let's just windshield wiper our knees. Feel free to, as you drop your knees to the right, if you want to pick up your left knee and swing it a little deeper into the twist, you can do that. Or you can just do windshield wipers. Just kind of sense, what does my body need? All right. Let's roll to our side and grab our rolled towel. We're going to do this before we come up into a cat-cow. So remember this massage along the spine. Okay, so we're going to take the roll down underneath our vertebrae. We start out at the top. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. So remember, your feet are on the floor, knees bent. We rock north and south in our body, crown to tail. The arms are over the head, over the chest. To start, that mimics flexion of the spine. And then we go into a little extension of the spine by reaching our arms overhead, all the while rocking. And then back to hands over heart, and then rotate. Turn your head and your arms over to one side, and then turn your head and your arms over to the other side. So you don't have to do your whole spine. You can kind of just move, a little quickly, or if you want to move slowly, just find your favorite spots. where you're like, oh, I know I need it there. This is just warming up all the little spots in between our vertebrae, our discs, all those little muscles, tendons, ligaments. There's a lot going on along your spine. So just let some things warm up here. And if I were to suggest staying anywhere for a little bit of length of time, besides like your favorite spot, try to see if you can spend just a little extra time at the band of your diaphragm. So when you get down to that, bottom edge of your rib cage area, you'll feel it. See what it feels like to just have a little, maybe slow down just a little bit there. And, don't hesitate in this, just let your body rock. We're not doing a lot of investigation of hanging out in one spot for any length of time. We're just allowing our vertebrae to kind of warm up. A lot of, what I like about this in relation to the breath is that the joints where our ribs connect to our vertebrae gets a lot of mobility in this sequence. So see if you can just sense how you're kind of rolling over those joints, giving a lot of feedback to the joints. Those back joints where our ribs connect to our vertebrae aren't usually in our awareness unless, we have a rib out or something and we feel pain. But if things are going smooth, it's not joints that we typically pay a lot of attention to. So give yourself some awareness. And like I said, if you're going to slow down at all and just take a little extra time, breathe, do it right around your diaphragm and take the opportunity to just let your body investigate some deep breaths while you mobilize. All right, and then when you get to your low back, maybe you can just bring your knees into your chest. You can rock a little bit from side to side. You can rock top to bottom, but you'll need your knees up to get any feedback in here. And then also notice when you get to this spot in your low back and you do some rocking, that deep quadratus lumborum, it attaches onto the bottom ribs. So when we're trying to breathe, this becomes one of those respiratory muscles. Anything that touches the rib cage is going to respond to our breathing. So, kind of check in with that QL on both sides and just notice, is there any tension or tightness here that might be restricting the way the ribs can move? There's also your posterior serratus muscles back there, which is a key muscle in your breathing. It changes the shape of your rib cage as you inhale and exhale. So, there's a few important muscles down there in, the mid to low back area. Okay. And then, when you get down to your sacrum, you can put your feet back on the ground, and you can do another pass just like we've been doing in the upper spine. And again, I'm moving pretty quickly through this. Normally I go twice as slow as this, but we're just kind of warming up. Okay, so any kind of movement that feels really good to you, like right now I'm on my sacrum, but I'm choosing to just rock my knees left and right because that's just intuitively what feels good. So follow your intuitions. You're not going to hurt yourself in this by kind of taking the path less traveled. All right, so just kind of decide what you are doing. And remembering that even all the way down to the pelvic floor is very much a part of our breath apparatus. The more our pelvic floor is mobilized, the more we change the intra-abdominal pressure, which allows our diaphragm to move more. Okay. All right, when you are ready, I'm gonna stop that now, but if you're like, oh, I'm still up in my rib cage, then you can either abandon ship and join me or just ignore me for a moment and you do you, keep going. I'm gonna take my squishy ball, my big MR ball, and it's about half full, I would say. And I'm just gonna put it under my sacrum for a moment. If you don't have a ball and you have a block or something to put under your pelvis, then that's great too. We just want a bit of a supported bridge, okay? Not too high, so don't go into your biggest bridge pose. And then take your feet maybe just a teeny bit wider than you normally do, wherever you feel somewhat stable. We're gonna work a little bit with the core in a moment, but first let's just feel that we can just ground here. And then breathe deeply into the pelvic floor. To just wake up a little teeny bit of our core stability, which our core and our breathing very much are interrelated. Let's go ahead and pick our feet up off the ground. You don't have to bring your knees to your chest. Feet just a little hovering, and you can adjust the prop underneath you. And we'll just do some little tiny taps. One foot down and back up to meet the knees. Other foot down, back up. So we're kind of inviting some engagement in our hip flexors, our psoas muscle. Remember the psoas and the diaphragm hang out in the same area on the vertebrae. So as you engage those muscles, see if you can become aware of the front of your vertebrae. Maybe like T12 down. See what you can do to kind of just be aware. All right. And then relax your feet down. Take a deep breath. Notice if your diaphragm got restricted from the core work. And we'll take that block out of there. Stretch to a star on the ground, reaching and rolling in your ankles and your fists. And then exhale, draw your knees into your chest. A little bit of rocking if it feels nice. And then we'll roll over onto your side. Come up to your hands and knees. Now, before we start a cat-cow, let your belly fall. Release the tension that we almost always have of kind of drawing our navel toward our spine. And as you let go, see what changes in the movement of your diaphragm. All right, and then start to move more naturally through some cat-cows, rounding the spine, arching the spine, taking some time, moving with your breath. Where do you like to inhale? Where do you like to exhale? All right, and then move around in your vertebrae, maybe wagging your tail or moving your pelvis around in some circles. And then stretch back towards child's pose. Take your knees as far apart as you need for your breath to get full. Inch the hands far out in front of you so you're opening up through your shoulders and your ribs. Walk the hands over to one side of your mat and feel that stretch through your side body. Okay, over to the other side. Feel that stretch through your side. And then come back to a neutral spine again. We'll do some rib cage rolling here. So drop your chest down, ribs over to the right, up toward the sky, over to the left, down. Now, hopefully, after everything we've already done with the rolled towel, your rib cage already feels hopefully a little bit more mobile than it sometimes does. So really accentuate this movement of the ribs. Notice where the ribs attach onto your sternum and onto your back. Isn't it kind of amazing that the two ends of these ribs, wrap, they create that wrap around our torso, connecting our front and our back. It's unusual joints that do this, right? So like to find a hoop like that. Let's change directions, going up the other way and around. Make sure you're breathing as you go. All right, and then relax, maybe back to a child's pose again. Finding your breath, breathing deeply and fully. And then back up onto all fours. Let's reach one arm up in the air. Exhale, slide that shoulder down and twist here. A full breath in, full breath away. All right, and then inhale and reach that arm back up in the air, finding the sky. Hand down onto the ground, switching sides. Arm up, slide the arm under, twisting this direction. Enjoying your breath, moving through your ribs, letting the breath travel in the rib cage. Inhale, reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Curl the toes under and let's find a dog pose. Take some time to start pedaling your feet, getting your legs involved now. Breathe deeply and fully. See if you can make room for the breath. Notice how it feels when your arms are over your head and you're inverted. There's a change in your shape of your lungs. There's a change of gravity. There's a change of pressure. See if you can sense this. Okay, let's walk our feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, a forward fold. Let the back body open. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through the heart. Let's pedal your feet here, letting the hips open up a little bit, letting the hamstrings even all the way down to your calves and your heels, just finding a little bit of mobility. Noticing the breath. All right, and then relax and melt one more time. Soften through your skull. Push through your feet, rising on up. Bring your arms to the sky when you're ready. Lean back a little bit if that feels nice. Let's cactus. Open the arms, give a good squeeze to the back. And then exhale, round in, chin to chest. One more time, a big arc through the ribs and open the chest. Feel the shoulder blades. Exhale, forearms to touch. Rising up, let's take our legs wide apart, so turn sideways on the mat, and we'll reach up and lengthen through one side with a nice wide stance. Come up the other side, stretching through your ribs. Finding your breath, bring your arms down, come down to a deep squat. Elbows inside your knees, opening up your legs. Notice the shape of your ribs and your diaphragm here. Lots of room with our legs wide apart for our pelvic floor, for our breath, for our belly, for our ribs, for our diaphragm. And then inhale, come all the way back up, standing star. Turn back to the front of your mat for a dog pose. So as you come and lengthen in your body, reach here, feel that space and length. Feel your sit bones rise up and your heels stretch down. Spread your hands and your feet open. Full breath in, full breath away. Come forward to a plank. Feel that hugging toward the midline now, so we're wrapping our spine in support. Feel how your ribs can hug in, your core can hug in. All Go ahead and push the ground away. And then when you're ready, put your knees down to the ground. Find the earth. Couple of shoulder rolls. Inhale for a cobra. Big open chest. Exhale and melt back down. One more time. Rising up, elbows back. Exhale. Releasing down. Take your arms wide, palms on the floor, hands out in front of you. Stretch into this length and feel the front of your vertebrae. Just check in, turn your gaze right into the front of your vertebrae as you reach into the breath and stretch open. Stretch your legs. And then exhale and relax. Bring your left knee up toward your armpit and feel that compression in the left side of your body. And then let's twist open. Thread your right arm underneath and twist open. Enjoy the opportunity to find your breath. We've done a lot already to open the ribs. Feel this pose as a giant opening for the breathing. All right, come back round. Come up again to a cobra and then bring your right knee up high toward your armpit. Take a look at that. Feel that compression on this side. Aren't we so lucky that we move our bodies all the time? You know, I think about how much range of motion we preserve in our yoga practice and how people who are just very sedentary lose out on a lot of this freedom. So let's just be so thankful for your yoga practice. Take that left arm underneath, twist it open, and find your way into your breath. Enjoy how your spine is not, hopefully feeling nice and open from all the work we've done to get the ribs to mobilize. And so just notice your breathing. Come back round again. Bring your legs straight back. Let's come lifting up to all fours and just move your spine around. Wag your tail and then stretch back toward a child's pose. Walking the hands out in front of you one more time. Breathing deeply. Breathing fully. And just see what it feels like to have that sense of openness traveling down the back of your body. A full breath here, both in and out. And then lift up to a dog pose when you feel ready. Feeling that length and space in the body. Let's bring our right foot forward to a lunge. Grab your blocks. Open up through the heart. And let's bend and straighten the front knee. Move with your breath. Remember, the breath is the guide. So much space for breathing. Feel the hip flexor open up, the hamstring in that nice sciatic nerve glide. Right, ground yourself, root, rise up. Bring the arms to extend overhead if that's comfortable. Let's grab onto the left wrist with the right hand and stretch open through the hip flexor and hip on that side. Open your ribs. Big breath. When you're ready, let go of that and we'll twist open to the side and feel the movement of your rib cage. Move your diaphragm well. And then we're going to roll open, turn sideways on the long edge of your mat. Big star breath. Exhale. Drop your exhale down into a goddess. Inhale up. Exhale down. Start to slow the breath down. Have a little bit of sense of control over your breathing. And standing star. Turn back to the front of your mat. Dog pose. Feeling that extension. Let's bring our feet wide on the mat, turn your toes in, feel the pelvic floor, breathe a bit. Lots of room in your belly. All right, put your feet back. We're gonna roll our spine forward to a plank. Put your knees down onto the ground and just do a cat-cow, arching, rounding the spine, noticing your vertebrae. Bring your hands onto blocks. Let's bring our left foot in front. Come to a lunge on this side, back knee up off the ground. Start to move when you're ready. Bending and straightening the front knee. Feeling how nice it feels to mobilize, to breathe, stretch open some big muscles. Again, being just so thankful for your mobility practices that keep you limber and lubricated. Ground yourself. Let's rise up to a crescent lunge here. Feel that extension through your sides. Lift your ribs off your hips. Press your front foot down. Let's grab onto the right wrist. Find a little bit of a side bend here and stretch open through that hip. Breathe deeply. And we'll let go of that and twist open to the side. Feel your ribs move. Focus on your breath. Make it deep and full. Come back. Windmill your body to the side one more time. Bring your hands down onto the ground and feel an inversion. So release downward. Notice when you invert, when your head and torso is below your pelvis, the change of gravity of your diaphragm. What's happening there? Feel it. And then we'll turn back to the front side of your mat one more time to a dog pose. Finding your breath. We'll stretch open the hip flexors one more time. Reach that right leg up, stack open. Big breath into your side body. And then put that foot down onto the ground. And let's change sides. Other leg up. Feel the hip open. Big breath. And then put that foot down. Enjoy a dog pose. All right, come forward into a plank. And then put your knees down onto the ground. Now it may seem counter that you need your hips to be open for good breathing, but we're going to add a little hip stretching here just so that when we come to sit in a moment, we have a really good posture. Before we do pigeon pose, which we're going to do next, sit in Virasana for a moment. Sit on your heels or on a block. Just let your quads compress, your knees compress. Notice your breathing. And bring your right leg in front. And remember, you can always do a reverse pigeon pose or lie on your back with one thigh over the other thigh. However you want to stretch open your hip. And we're going to extend and open up through our body here. Stay upright for a moment and feel the spine. Try not to compress through the lumbar spine, but draw your navel in a little bit so you have support to lift and open. And then we'll come down toward the block under our head. Okay, so sleeping pigeon, just let your body rest now. Head is on something. Square the pelvis. See what you can do to melt your belly and let it relax. You don't have to grip anything right now. You can let your diaphragm open up and freely breathe. you feel ready, we'll switch to the other side, left leg in front. If you're doing pigeon pose, support yourself with blankets in any way that you need. Start with an upright posture, hands on blocks, so that you have some extension. Only go as high up as your low back can stay neutral, okay? So you don't want to compress into your lumbar spine. Press your legs into the ground, rise up through your heart. Drop your shoulders and breathe deeply. And then when you're ready, we'll come forward and bring our head onto a block or onto your fists or wherever your support is. Squaring the hips. Try not to hug the sit bones toward each other, but let's widen the pelvic floor a little bit. Feel the sit bones widen apart. Let your breath travel in deep. Notice your diaphragm and see if you can take away any restriction. Let's come out of this posture. Find your way into a dog pose. If you're on your back, you can just stand up if you prefer. Just stretch your legs straight. Breathing deeply. Again, feel that sense of openness through your ribs, your spine, your pelvic floor. Let's walk our feet forward. Uttanasana, be mindful to relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. All right, guys, on up. Okay, we're going to do just a little bit of diaphragmatic movement before we have come into a seated posture for some breathing. So we're going to come down and put our hands on our knees, so we have support. Kind of lock out your elbows. You can have your feet a little wider than hip width, whatever's comfy. And just take some deep breaths, letting your diaphragm totally move. Get as much mobility in your diaphragm as you can. All right, and then we're going to do some of that, bellows kind of thing where we're going to pump our diaphragm a little bit. So first, just find your shape. You're going to start this with an exhale, and then we're going to hold the exhale, and we're just going to draw our navel to our spine and then release. Navel to your spine and then release. And really don't start yet. What we're really looking forward for is that Uddiyana Bandha. So it's not just navel to spine, but it's that diaphragm in and up and then released down and out. In and up, think flying up. Uddiyana means to fly up. So the Uddiyana Bandha, or diaphragm lock or bandha, is a flying in and up, okay? So lock out your elbows, let your shoulders kind of creep up to your ears a little bit, all the things I say never to do, right? Just support yourself. And then let your belly go. Take a nice big deep breath in. All your breath out. Hold the out breath and pump your diaphragm. Take a breath. You can stand up. We're going to do it twice more. So remember, we're looking for just the teeniest bit of breath hunger. We're not looking for breath, anxiety. All right, so only hold that exhale and do the pumping of your diaphragm once, twice, 5 times. It doesn't have to be this like minute-long hold of the exhale. Just do it until you're comfortably uncomfortable and then take a deep breath in. Okay, so 2 more rounds. You do your pace. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Hold the out breath, do some pumps. Breathe in whenever you're ready. Stand up. If you're dizzy, maybe you went too far. Okay. Have a couple of regular breaths in between so that you feel normalized before we do our last round. I don't know if you were counting how many like pumps you did, and I never did talk about the speed of that Uddiyana Bandha. If you're not familiar with the pattern of that movement, go slow so you can feel what it takes to draw in and up and then to release down and wide. And just kind of explore, be curious about what this feels like in your internal organs, in your diaphragm, in your pelvic floor. Just kind of be aware of all that's lots of shifting and changing happening. And again, if you want to go faster, you can go a little faster. If it's a comfortable movement, you have control. And again, do not overdo, okay? So we're not looking for getting really short of breath or dizzy. Bring your hands onto your knees. Last round, take a deep breath in. Exhale all your breath out. And then pump your navel. Diaphragm in and up. And then when you're done, take a deep breath, stand on up. The last two rounds that I did, I felt a vertebrae, like you get that feeling of a joint kind of finding its way back into place. So I don't know if any of you feel that when you do this thing where, maybe your ribs find their better alignment, or your spine. So try to pay attention to all the subtlety that's happening in your center body when you do this. Okay, let's just move through one vinyasa and then we're gonna breathe for a few minutes. Take a deep breath in, big breath up and open. Exhale, floating forward. A halfway lift. Find your breath, exhale all the way down. Step back to a dog pose. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Next time your inhale comes, forward to a plank. Lower yourself down. On your next breath in, a cobra. On your breath out, relax down. In on tall fours. Exhale to child's. Just let your back open up. Sometimes that pumping of the diaphragm can, we can get a lot of tension in that transverse abdominis. So just kind of feel your way into your back body and let it breathe open. All right, and then we're gonna come up to sit, and you can get into a comfortable position. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. So you want to have good support underneath you, blankets, blocks, whatever you are comfortable sitting on. Okay, let's do one final twist before we're gonna go right into Shavasana from this. So let's do a twist now. So reaching the left arm up in the air, twist to the right, drop your shoulder. One more time, letting your ribs open to the breath. Back to center, switching sides. Are you more aware of your diaphragm than you were in the beginning? All right, so coming back to center, let's find a comfortable seat. We won't be here too long, but make sure you're comfy. Okay, support your joints, find the long spine. Let's let our belly move as we breathe. Feel yourself mobilize. You should be able to feel movement in your rib cage, your abdomen, your low back, your pelvic floor. There's a lot of responsiveness for your breath. You might feel your first ribs kind of touch up against your collarbones. The changing shape of your rib cage. The movement through your nose into your trachea. Just kind of sense your breathing in all the ways that it affects you. And now I'm not gonna count because that can stress people out. So you can internally count if you like metronomes, if that helps you. But I don't wanna force anyone to breathe longer or shorter than what they want to have happen. What I would love to see right now is elongate your breath to a nice, comfortable, long inhale. And whatever count you get to with your metronome speed, have 2 counts longer for your exhale. And if you're not a counter, you can just sense this. You can sense the amount of time it takes to inhale and just let your exhale be a little bit longer. So whether you're a counter and like that, rigid, rhythmic nature or not, you find you. But keep the posture. Have one eye on what the posture of your body should be. Let your diaphragm be fully mobile as you inhale and exhale. So this first step of this breathing practice is just to start lengthening the exhale. We're not looking for breath hunger yet. Maybe you're touching just the slightest bit of discomfort with your exhale being a little bit longer. You might be like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that breath, that inhale breath. But monitor yourself and make sure you're not gulping for the inhale. Remember, it's this fine balance of being able to have a little bit of control, of this breath pattern without abandoning what we need, the pranic flow in the body. We want to be comfortably uncomfortable. All right, now the next step to add that little bit of breath hunger, which is going to increase our carbon dioxide, which is going to bathe our tissues in oxygen. Okay, we're going to hold just a little bit of hold at the end of that long exhale. So if you're a metronome counter, if you're counting, maybe a count for the inhale, 2 counts longer for the exhale, and then hold for 2 counts. And you can play around with this. Maybe you have more capacity than that. Maybe 1 count is all you can do. So, experiment, start with, a 2 beat longer exhale and then a 2 beat hold before your next breath. And if you feel good, you're like, oh, I didn't gulp for my next inhale, then maybe try a 3 count hold. Just kind of dance with this and see where your tolerance lies. We want to have a breath hunger, but not a feeling of breath starvation. If you have any sense of panic, or if you have any sense of this giant gulping for breath when your inhale comes, then you're doing too much. So pay attention subtly to all that, as well as just to the feeling of your body opening to prana, opening to breath. You might find that you can hold your exhale 4 counts longer than the inhale, and you can hold 4 or 5 or 6 beats on your exhale. So I'm not saying do less. I'm just saying be careful not to do too much. Okay, so find what's right for you. You might notice as you go that you really do have a little bit more tolerance than you thought. So just experiment with a little bit of extra length in the exhale, a little bit of extra holding at the end of the exhale. Always your barometer for if you're doing okay is what happens with that next inhale. Do you have to gulp it? Are you topping the tank? Are you kind of craving it beyond hunger, but in more of a desperate feeling? Okay, so know your balance point. ready to return. And if you're like, oh, I love this, I want to keep going, then just keep going. You can shut your computer down or your phone down and do this and then just rest for Shavasana when you are ready. But if you're following me, Shavasana is now. Okay, so open your eyes. Let's go ahead and find a comfortable posture. Sometimes after some sitting, it feels nice to have your legs supported. I'm gonna put my legs up on the couch. Okay, but maybe you like to be flat. Okay, so just find what feels at ease and disturb yourself as little as possible. Once you come into a comfortable position, melt the body. And notice if there's a calmness in your mind. If you can sense the oxygenation of your cells. Let's deepen our breathing again. Maybe have a little bit of movement through your ankles and your wrists, or a big stretch, or anything that feels good in your body. Let's find our way onto your side. Just take a moment as you come to sit up. Just enjoy your breathing. So take your time. And as you find a good seated posture, take a moment to just sense what's available for my breath. Bring our hands together at our heart. For your practice outward, send your care, your love. Namaste. All right, thank you, everyone.